Ms. Joan, I'm going to start the meeting, okay?
All right. What's your time?
I have 6:06.
Thank you.
So I am starting the remote regular Board of Education meeting for the Groton Board of Ed. And I would like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And if people could pay attention to Mark's Square. Liz, would you be willing to start us off with the pledge, please?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark, for providing the flag. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. And I don't have blankets on. It's just that my house is really cold and I have like 3 large shawls on. Just saying. Our first order of business is going to be recognition of our very dear and good friend, Beth Holler. And Mike, I don't know, or Sue, if you want to present what this means, that would be great. And then I would like to have a chance to be able to, as board, and I wish we could do it in person, but I don't think we're doing it in person with anyone right now. Once again, so Mike or Susan, if you could.
Well, I'm gonna introduce a more important person who really knows about this. But when I got the note, I could only imagine what the CEA folks must be thinking, because there is no one in my 30 years as an educational administrator in Connecticut comes anywhere near the contributions that Beth Holler has made to this district, in good times and in bad. And so she is just enormously valuable to the district, and was obviously the CEA thought the same thing. But when I called Doug, I said, I'd appreciate it if you could say a few words, and he said, well, I actually nominated her. So I'm gonna let Doug explain a little bit about the award, please, Doug, and why, and what I'd be interested in what the reaction was, if you got anyone from CEA.
Okay, so a few months ago, a couple teachers in the district got together, and we decided that we were going to nominate Beth for this award. And this award is called the Clifford Silvers Award. Clifford Silver was a tireless advocate for teachers' rights and excellence in public education. Mr. Silvers passed away in 2017, but he was a longtime CEA representative, manager, and labor arbitrator. So a little bit about the award. CEA's Clifford Silvers Education Advocacy Award is presented to a group or individual member of the education community. It is awarded to an active CEA member or other active education stakeholders who has dedicated his or her life to supporting students and who continues making outstanding contributions to the improvement of the teaching profession and promoting excellence in public education. Individuals who are considered for this award include teachers who have held numerous union positions and have made contributions to their profession spanning several years, or in best case, decades. Teachers who have stepped in year after year to help others who would not, filling necessary roles despite their own busy schedules and commitments. Educators who have built a long-standing reputation for mentoring colleagues, presenting and sharing best practices and experience at events for other educators, and those who take every opportunity to continue learning by attending conferences and other events and bringing key information back to colleagues, and education stakeholders who continually seek to improve the teaching profession through programs and initiatives designed to nurture social, emotional learning, educational outcomes, and more. So we got together, we nominated her, and we found out that she got this award. CEA presented it to Beth, and we were just ecstatic. We had emails going back and forth, obviously, in this time. but we're very proud, and we are just so lucky, teachers in Groton, to have Beth. And I just, the lines of communication that she keeps open with you, Mike, the Board of Ed, Susan. I don't know what to say. She's just an invaluable asset, and I'm glad that CEA saw this and presented her this award.
You count me up for this.
Yeah! Woo! Yes.
And the award, I think, will be officially presented in early May at the CEA RA. So she hasn't gotten it yet.
Okay, so I'll take back the clap. I'll give it to you afterwards.
Just a really, I think of Beth as kind of the rock solid foundation of this district. And there's been a couple of times when we needed a little more stability than at other times, and she provided it unstintingly throughout. And I think of her as a colleague and a friend and a former parent in my district and neighbor and all those things. But you just had an enormous impact, Beth, so thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Yay, Beth. I knew you when.
Yeah. And this award was just recently renamed. So it is the old Lifetime Achievement Award. But like I told CEA, I'm not done yet. So I'm sticking around.
Good.
Good.
And good for us. And Beth, I just am so appreciative of, in the past several years since I've been on the board, how your sort of steady leadership, to me personally, and just to the district. So not only do you give a breath to the teachers, but I just, your unequivocal want of the best for this district is just amazing. And so I say cheers to you, and thank you for being such a great partner, because I know many people, all of these relationships could get very tangled and very tense, and I just really appreciate that does not happen, and largely because of the leadership that you offer to the teachers and to all of us. So thank you once again.
You're most welcome. Thank you. And GPS stands for Great Public Schools and Groton Public School.
It sure does.
All right, and so we are now at the student representative report, and so I know that we've got Zay here, and I know Addie, I think you're somewhere. You're not on my screen, but I think you're. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay.
Hey, how are you? So I don't know. Which one will talk first? We'll go.
All right. So just jumping in, I want to preface this really quickly and say that most of the stuff that Zay and I will talk about has already been mentioned at the Committee of the Whole previous meeting by Ms. McGuire, but I just want to reiterate for the larger regular board meeting audience. So just jumping in, the senior class updates, we have some updates that the senior class advisors will be paying for the entire class of 2020's caps and gowns. So this is for the $30 regular caps and gowns will all be paid for from the class funds.
Oh.
And the senior class advisors, administration, and grad party is still working to try and figure out some special events for the seniors in lieu of some of the events that are going to be canceled because of the situation. So there's still a lot of work being done, I think, just brainstorming what is going on and what we can do for the seniors. We also had the senior class graduation competition. This is the annual it was over Zoom, where seniors can write their own speech and then present it to a board. And if the speech is chosen, this person gets to speak at their graduation. So this year, we have the graduation speakers are Finn Kohler as the valedictorian. The salutatorian is Will Miner. The class president is Grayson Scher, and the winner of the class speaker contest is Ava Paparaki. And moving on to AP testing, I know a lot of information has gone out about this already, but just again to reiterate, this year, the AP students will be testing online, and all students will be taking it on a school Chromebook. And all of the information and resources have been sent out to students and families by administration. And testing is happening in May, so it's coming up. And then for SAT testing, the school SAT date was in March and wasn't able to happen this year. So school administration is working with College Board to offer the SATs on a few Saturdays during the summer weeks. So I believe that's still being worked out, but students and families will be notified about that in the future. And then for NHS updates, National Honor Society, students worked with administration to get a tutoring organization going, in that we were able to have a link where students could sign up for tutoring if they were struggling in classes or needed help, especially in this distance learning. It's difficult for some students, so students are able to sign up for that and then be paired with a National Honor Society student to help the student through. And we've gotten some students signing up for that, and we've gotten some tutoring started, which is very exciting because I was able to help with this personally, and it's very cool that we were able to give some struggling students help. So Zay can take over the rest of this.
Okay. Hello. Some of the junior class updates. We've notified people that the junior prom scheduled for May 16th has officially been postponed. We're discussing either a later prom or event in the future to replace this, so like the juniors can still have their junior prom per se, so like they don't miss out on that experience. We began talking about plans for painting our senior parking spots, but we've come up with some concerns about the interference of the new middle school being built, because I know that parking lot where the senior parking spots are is being used for like some trucks, transportations and stuff. Not sure if that's still being used, but that has been a concern. Onto the virtual Spirit Week that we're actually hosting right now. Fitch is putting on a virtual Spirit Week. It started last Thursday, April 23rd, and ends this Friday, May 1st. Upcoming themes for the rest of this week are: on Tuesday, tomorrow, April 28th, is Thank and Essential Work Employee Day, and Wednesday, April 29th, is Mix and Match Day. Thursday, April 30th, is Build a Fort Day in the house with pillows and blankets and stuff, hopefully. Friday, May 1st, there's going to be a surprise for students on the Fitch Renaissance Instagram page. So hopefully I'm surprised actually. I can't wait. The mental health protocol update is admin has established a protocol for helping students in mental health need during distance learning, which includes an immediate response from our mental health team, who have been reaching out to students and families to provide resources. A couple more updates. Every Friday, Mr. Kelleher sends out a message to our students and families, which has actually brought a lot of spirit back to the students and makes them more motivated to keep going throughout the week. Updates on student award, scholarship, and National Honor Society inductees. The school counselors and administration are working to make sure that all awards are still happening for our students. Although it is not yet sure if a ceremony will happen for each awards ceremony, all awards will be awarded to students, whether it's book awards, scholarships, underclassmen awards, National Honor Society, new members, and etc. That's all I have.
Kim, I have a question.
Yes, please, Rita.
Can the students give us, or someone give us an update about IB testing?
I can talk a little bit. There might be someone else who knows more than me, but I think I can start it off definitely. So for IB testing in general is usually projects that you do throughout the second year of IB, and there's usually, depending on the class, there's usually a written also. So they've gotten rid of the written examination, and because they have these other projects that they can fall back on, the projects are now the full IB grade. So with AP, it's just a written examination, so they kind of have to do that in order for you to be tested in some way. But with the IB testing, they're able to use these projects. So pretty much at this point, I think most IB classes, if you're in the second year and if you're finishing it up as a senior, I think they have submitted the projects or are in the process of submitting it.
That's my understanding. They're going to take all the work that's already been done. The instruction is continuing, but Addie, you're right. They're gonna take that portfolio of work and award a grade based upon that.
Each teachers also had to submit their predicted grades at a time. Every year they have to submit predicted grades as to what each student they predict they're going to get for a score. So those are also submitted to IB.
I had one more question for Matt. Is it still too late to send in the scholarship funds, and who do you send that to?
I don't think it's too late. I think you can send it to right to Fitch High School and
Okay.
put it towards J. Renee, and she can help us with it. I can even.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions that are specific to the student representatives? All right, hearing none. Once again, Addie and Zay, thank you so much for, once again, your continued involvement in the board, even when we're on Zoom. You guys are priceless and enrich us, so thank you. I'm now going to move us on to the superintendent report. Mike, that would be you.
Sure.
You didn't know? Dr. Grenier?
I wanted to give you a bit of an update. Last week, the commissioner gave us some interesting information. First of all, he indicated that the governor was going to wait at least a bit longer to make the decision as to when or if we return to school. That the whole education community has made it clear to the governor, the sooner we do this, the better, because there's so many plans that we're going to have to coordinate that'd be helpful to do that. And he also said that that there will be, and I think I sent the CARES Act Elementary Secondary Emergency Relief Fund. I didn't realize Connecticut was getting quite that amount of money, but apparently Connecticut is getting $111 million. And they said that each district would get about 83% of their Title I funds. So for us, that'd be about $850,000 that will come from the federal government for the CARES Act. So one of the things that we talked about a fair amount with the commissioner was this whole notion of a reentry plan. What are we going to have to do to get ready to open up? What are we going to have to do to close some of the learning gaps that are certainly occurring right now because of the online learning? And so Susan going to talk a little bit about that, and I'll chime in later. But that whole notion of a reentry plan, I think, is going to be very, very helpful to us, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. And then the last thing I'll just say is they reminded us that any decisions about graduation would really have to be made in conjunction with the local health district. So that was a kind of a sober reminder that we're not exactly on our own here. We have to make sure that the health district and all the social distancing that comes with that. You know, my personal take on this is that the countries that I'm seeing that are coming back are not coming back 100%. They're coming back with social distancing. So the notion of having 100 people together is probably a bit of a stretch. Never mind 1,000 people. So I think we just have to be kind of mindful of that as we go through the summer. And then I would like to figure out exactly what the funds are going to be, but that, as I said, that the CARES Act talk about making sure that there's technology available, making sure there are funds available for perhaps extended day programs, additional tutoring. You know, there's going to be a whole gamut of services that are going to be needed. And so I think it's today, the 27th. I'd be surprised, frankly, if we don't have some clear definition of end of school by the 7th of May. The governor says he'll tell us on the 20th. Well, we certainly can't be told on the 20th and come back on the 21st. It's going to take us a little bit of a while to ramp up. But I think overall, you'll see when we talk about distance learning, things are going much better. But I was also reminded today, as I spoke to a few folks, I saw about 5 weeks ago, I saw a video on some teachers from China, and I was reminded of it today. And they said that they started out like pretty high level, and they were going and going and going, and they got to about the 5 or 6 week mark, and they sort of had a dip. My sense is we're getting pretty tired of this. And then in China, they said things got better, and they came back up. So my sense is right now that we are in a bit of a dip. People are not necessarily exercising the best social distancing. I went for a hike on the airline trail yesterday. Some of you may know. Usually there's like 2 or 3 people on it every mile. There must have been hundreds of people on it, and we couldn't park, so we just left. But nobody had masks on, and the warm weather is going to come, and I think we need to be mindful of all the responsibilities.
So I'm going to keep us back on track.
I have a question for Mike too.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Liz first, and then Rita.
Mike, it's more of a comment than, and it's also maybe a question. I live in an area with a lot of teachers, and you are very right when you say the observation is that they are stretched to the max. They're just, people are they get so stressed. I see people with bags under their eyes. They're just that stressed. And I really would like to know, what we can do. What are some of the things we can do to support our teachers better? And maybe, Beth, that's a question for you as well. But Mike, do we have anything, or have you been talking about what we can do to support our teaching staff? Because I think they're in a bit of a crisis stage right now, and I think they need our support somehow. I know that we're going to lighten some things here or there, but really, I just would like to know if there's something that you've thought about, or you're discussing with Susan, or people have discussed about what we can do to help our teachers. Our kids seem to be building resiliency, and that's a great thing. I mean, we have to learn how to be resilient, but I'm really concerned about our teaching staff.
So I can tell you, and Susan can tell you, perhaps in more detail, we are providing some useful professional development from the district to the teachers, but I know teacher to teacher, there's a lot of sharing going on. We have made it clear that we need to pace ourselves as we go forward. I wrote I think I sent it to the board. I wrote a note last week saying that we're moving along, but I saw a note in the paper today that said the average workday is 3 hours longer now. It just takes so much time to do this stuff. And I think the best thing we could say is things are moving along. I've been talking to a fair number of students, and everything I hear is it's getting better and better. It's more manageable. I think some of the parents of the younger children are struggling, but I think overall we're supporting the teachers. But we're all learning, and I think between the parents, the teachers, and the students, this is our 6th week, So here we are, and I think we're getting better. But Seth Danner asked a very important question today that I really appreciated hearing. He said, what are we going to do if this happens again? Knowing what we know now, what would we do differently? And I think that's the question, and it sort of gets to what you're saying, Liz. What lessons are we learning? Are we processing them? Because to say this is the last time we're going to have school closures, I think is a kind of a wish. But I think we owe it to the kids, and we owe it to their parents and to the teachers to process these lessons, and we're making progress there. I can assure you.
Thanks, Mike.
Well,
Rita?
My question is, Mike, I heard today that the federal program SNAP for the funding for SNAP is being increased, and will that affect our food service at all to our children?
I don't know, but I'll look into that. Unless Sam, would you know? Is Sam here?
He was.
He was, yeah.
I'm here, sir.
Do you know anything about this SNAP program and possibly increased funding?
I haven't heard about the increase, but I'll check into it and get back to you.
Okay, we'll get back in board notes, Rita.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board to Dr. Grenier before we go on to Susan? Gretchen.
As we're finding, the grocery stores are getting more and more limited as to what you can get. There's no tomato sauce. It was pretty barren today. Are we, are we finding it's harder and harder to get food to feed the kids?
Well, let's Sam in. I have not heard that as a problem. Sam?
We don't have a problem at this time.
Okay, good.
Alrighty. So let's move on to Susan. So it will be helpful if you unmute yourself. Susan?
I'm trying. Okay.
There you go.
Everything takes longer, even unmuting yourself. I just wanted to say the first bullet that I have is about FY21 staffing update. And I have Denise here to talk a little bit more about the needs at SB Butler. We've really had to, because of their caseloads, and they really are a specialized school with their ABA program and their preschools and some of their other significant needs. So we've had to put a long-term sub person in there to help support some of these overloaded caseloads. And for next year, we'd like to have that be a one-year position because we feel like we could be able to get more talented staff having a 1 year. And actually, any hires that we do this year, we're calling them 1 year. They might extend if the need continues, but we think because we're going to be, moving the elementaries into 2 buildings, the 3 elementary schools into 2 buildings, that we're considering all of these as 1 year positions. But Denise, did you want to add on to that need?
Sure. Just wanted to let everyone know that Butler is the only elementary school that only has 2 resource teachers. Every other school has 3, and 2 had worked for a period of time, but we've been monitoring the enrollment trends, and we're coming up on the 3rd year in a row where the caseloads are exceptionally large for 2 teachers. So for the past 2 years, we've had to add a 0.5 substitute. The first year we added the position mid-year. The second year we added it at the beginning of the year. And this would be the 2nd year. And then halfway through the year, Mr. Wheeler asked if the sub could stay in the afternoon because there were new referrals. So going into next year as our 3rd year, with these enrollment trends under our belt, we'd like to request a full-time teacher to start the year, not a sub, but a contracted position for 1 year, given that there may be some efficiencies that we can capture during the consolidation.
Did anyone have any questions on that position?
Jay, is the finance and facilities planning to meet anytime soon, like next week, which is, I think, is your normal time? Don't you meet at the first Monday?
It's not on the calendar at this point, but we certainly would be able to.
I'm just wondering, would you prefer this to kind of be chomped on with the finance in facilities, or do you feel like that we can just use this through this meeting and possibly the committee of the whole? I mean, it sounds to me like we're just trying to meet the need, that we have too many caseloads.
Right. And we have been paying for it in operations, but we've been paying for it through the substitute account, and this just shifts the accounting, but not the money. It's the same amount of money.
Correct.
Then it doesn't sound like finance really needs to look at it, but I would defer to Dr. Grenier on that.
Nope, I'm not Dr. Grenier. He's much cuter than me. But I think that it makes sense that we just, if it's just moving from one account to another, that's not necessarily impacting our budget, so not necessarily needing to go through the finance and facilities. I'm just, once again, just trying to make sure that we have the right chains going.
Thank you. Our thought too is that if we're not hiring a sub, we would, hopefully hire a really qualified candidate who may have some specialized training to bring to the position, because we'll probably be able to attract a high quality candidate if it's not a sub position. So thank you very much. To be able to plan for this now will be a great thing for Butler.
The second position is, and I think you've heard Ted talk about it, Matt Brown has talked about it, and Aaron, and Amy McKenna has certainly supported the idea of getting back a literacy specialist. When I first got here, we had 2 full-time positions of really a reading consultant in the building who would assess needs and provide that very highly qualified level of support in literacy at the high school. So in talking to the staff and looking at funding sources, I was able to find out that they had a full-time math tutor at the school, but they were not using the Department of Defense Education Activity monies in math as they could have been doing, because it's in the grant. They were using, they had that position in operations. So I thought if we could shift and that we could provide the math support, the math tutor through the DODEA grant, then they would have that amount of money. And I think it's about $35,000 that they could put towards a literacy specialist, and we could start with a 0.5. And if we should get this funding from the state and be able to add to it and have someone full-time, that would be even better. But for now, I think it's at least a start to have that level of support at the high school that I think is so sorely needed. I don't know if Matt or Ted, you wanted to add on to this, but we do recognize that this is the need.
Matt or Ted?
It's absolutely a need. I mean, it's something that, the administrative team at the high school and the department heads have definitely looked at as a need. So when we saw there was an opportunity to do this, I think this is the first place we went. So Matt's done a lot of work in regard to this. I'll let him talk as well, but this is absolutely a need based upon what we're seeing at the high school, and any support that we get in that area is going to be a big help for us.
Yeah, no, as we looked at our English teachers aren't necessarily teachers of reading, so with the lack of having that reading specialist the last couple of years, we've struggled when we've identified some of these kids that need the support in reading. So one of the things that Ted's tasked us with this year is improving our intervention system, and this is a great opportunity for us. If we have this position, we can really, we've already tinkered with how we're going to revamp our intervention system for next year, and this is going to be a big aspect for it, along with still maintaining that math tutor. I think this is crucial. But we've identified a lot of incoming 9th graders that we can see are going to need the support. We've already pre-identified them, and we've already gotten them into the intervention courses that we need. This is also going to create an opportunity for more of a fluid reading intervention process, where we can have kids that enter the process for a 6-week, 8-week interval, and then if things improve, then they can be exited out, or we can seek further interventions that are needed. So we're excited, and Amy McKenna obviously has done a big part of spearheading this whole thing as well.
And you may remember that through our Alliance grant, there was funding for looking at K-12, pre-K-12, a systemic SRBI process, and we can even do that remotely. I know the middle school, with the 2 schools coming together, really needs to take a look at that before they all move in. They really want that plan ready to go, and that's some work that we can do over the summer remotely and bring people together. So it would be good to look at it, K through 12, and at least start that project. So we'll definitely include you all in that at the high school level. Any other questions?
Yes, I do. I would like to see if you could make that a full-time position again. I think there are so many students at the high school that a 0.5 is not nearly enough. I remember that then there were actually 2 there at one time, and then it went down to 1, and now none. So I would like to see if somehow the board could find some extra money to make this a full-time position for our children at the high school. Just my 2 cents.
Can Dr. Grenier, can you speak to why it is a can you speak to why it's a half-time versus a full-time? Yeah. Or Susan, sorry.
Well, it's just that the funding source is there. Again, we don't need additional money for this. We're shifting monies in operation that had been spent on a math tutor. We're able to pay for that through a grant, and then that gives us that $35,000 to put towards this literacy person. But we could, we can examine and look at that again at central office and, see if there's other funding too that can be reallocated in that way or, provided.
Actually, Rita, you've been an advocate for this for a long time, and I really appreciate that. I said to Kim, we'll interview, we'll try to get someone. If the perfect candidate comes along, Ted and Aaron, we're very excited about this possibility. If we could get someone who was dual certified in reading in English, they could help out with an English course or 2 and help out primarily with the literacy. So as I said to Kim, if we fall in love with somebody, we'll come back and try to identify the money, and we'll hire a full-time person if possible.
Dr. Grenier, we also have a teacher currently at the high school that is finishing her reading specialist degree as well. So we are fortunate that she is able to also help us with 1 or 2. But to Rita's point, if it is possible moving forward, it would be tremendous to have a full-time position.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have it in all of our other buildings, and they're worth their weight in gold. And the interventionist, I mean, it's incredible the work that they're able to do. So I'm really pleased.
I actually don't think that there's a board member here that doesn't believe that that is true. For me, I would just want to make sure that as we're paying for a math specialist through the grant, does that position then go away from the grant, or are we going to try to find ways of doing that? And so maybe from the very beginning, maybe Jay, this is something that your team needs to kind of tackle, is how do we support these specialists so that as grants move and disappear, that we can sustain those salaries in those positions, because it doesn't make sense to have them and then to get rid of them because we then don't have funding.
Yeah, the sustainability piece is really crucial. You're right.
It is, and I know I'm a little bit of a conundrum on that, but I think it's just really important that we think about that.
Yeah.
Any other questions around that so that Susan can move on? Thanks, Denise.
So the next bullet is our distance learning, and I just want to speak to what you've been saying. I was actually putting together my own paper that I wanted to, inspiration that I wanted to send out to staff, but I see our educators, our teachers and administrators, our paraprofessionals, and all those who support teaching and learning, and you all as superheroes in all of this. You know, we hear so much about those people who are helping in this time of need, and we certainly know it's our medical folks and people who are, you know, Ernie Kashmir, who's making sure our kids are fed, and there are so many people that, you know, are really heroic during this time. And you're right, it's a huge, heavy lift, Liz. And Beth is constantly, you know, we speak to Beth several times a week. I probably speak to her between the PD and everything else, our meetings, you know, at least once a day. And so we really are listening. And I think the best thing we can do is be there to support teachers. So if we need to peel back a little, and I think because our distance learning plan is in phases, and it really has that motto, which really Beth and I kind of thought of together. She probably was the first one to say it. But start slow and grow. And what does that growth mean? And how are we engaging our kids in teaching and learning? And I think the plan, which was, you know, written by a lot of people around the table and put together, was really important in phases. And we're really finishing up phase 2 and moving into a phase 3 here. And when I look back, Mike had actually said this out loud. He had said, you know, we're kind of at the halftime show. We're really at halftime. And when we look back to the beginning, I think when we met with Kim and the legislators back on, I think the day before March 13th, March 12th, and the reality hit us that, oh my goodness, we've got to do something totally different than we've ever done before. It was just earth shattering, and the teachers came together on one day and put together a plan for supplemental learning that I was just awed by, you know, and I looked at every single plan and I thought, my goodness, this work looks fantastic. But it was mostly rolling out work and videos and things for kids to do at home with parent support. And now when I think about today and some of the stories I'm hearing about these awesome mini lessons and read alouds and kids telling parents, play it again, I want to see my teacher again, over and over again. And then these small groups where they're seeing their teacher, being able to talk to their teacher. So I just can't even imagine what it's going to look like in 5 weeks. I mean, teachers are coming to us saying, I found this software, let's do this. Corey Mott, I'm hearing teachers want to, you know, work on something. Can I provide the professional development? So they really are to be commended, everyone that's around the Zoom and all of our teachers out there. I couldn't be more proud. I just, and proud of our families and kids. If there's any disappointment in teachers, it's that they felt like maybe a child hadn't responded or maybe couldn't respond. But now that our hotspots are out there, I'm feeling a little better that families are picking up those hotspots and that access and equality is there for them. That makes me feel a little better. So I think it's, you know, there are challenges to this, but I think everybody's rising to the occasion like never before. It does also tell us that live face-to-face teaching, how incredible that is. It's all about relationships here and building those relationships. And there's nothing better than having that teacher in that classroom and those kids in that bubble. So I don't ever think distance learning can replace quality teaching in live time. And for sure, we've learned that lesson. We're trying to do our very best though. So, so those are, you know, kind of the updates. We've had some professional development. We definitely have to look at a reentry plan. And in the reentry plan, I'm kind of thinking of assessment and APEX. I'm thinking of a AA. So we have to be able to assess kids to see where they are. And that's pre-K through 12. And we have the APEX, which can really help us out this summer, even remotely. We've talked about it for middle school and high school kids. And if there's students that cannot complete a course, we can certainly give them that opportunity in the summer to go through APEX and, you know, and finish things up if they've had some struggles with that. So that's what we're going to be putting together. I'm putting together a reentry plan, and I'll be working with colleagues on this just to gather ideas. We've also talked about our little ones. Beth and I have been talking about our Transition K program, yes, and being able to screen our youngest learners, so that whether that happens later this summer, I can't imagine doing that in any other way than in live time with real kids and teachers together. So, you know, but that will be a big piece of it when we get back, to really assess all of our kids and, you know, and look at the compacting documents that are in that plan to see what we've accomplished. We're going to have to, instead of, you know, writing new curriculum this summer, we're going to be reviewing what's been done with these priority standards, reviewing what's going to happen in the fall, and tweaking things to make it work for our kids and our teachers. So that's kind of my exciting work this summer, to be working with teachers on, and we'll have to do it probably remotely. And then looking at those academic supports, and I think if we're able to have a team that works on SRBI, which will be our ordinary supports that we give, and see if there's other things we have to be paying attention to through all this. One other thing I wanted to mention was that I was on with the State Department Performance Office last Friday on a Zoom talk, and they were talking about having students access the SBAC interim assessments. We know we're not doing a summative, but there's such a plethora of really wonderful assessment items that can be done online, and we can make it really safeguarded, so that that's another way that we can actually assess our kids through all of this to see how they've done and how they've made out. And it'll give us information. It informs our instruction, so it gives us information on what we need to pay attention to for next year. So that's really some of the things I had. I know that there's a question of delivery of special ed services, so I'm going to turn this over to Denise. And then after that, we also have high school grading practices. So Ted and the team can talk about that after Denise.
But Denise, before we go to you, can I just ask one question? And this was sort of up in your delivery of services. How as a district are we handling, you know, for our families where they're essential workers, and they have to work really long hours, and then about the kids and about the kids maybe not being able to get their schoolwork done, or that it's I mean, how, I don't know what my question is. I just as you guys know, my bias is that I work with children and families, and a lot of families are really struggling with the fact that they're working 10 hours a day and then trying to come home and do work, and it's just not happening well for them. And so how are teachers thinking about that? And that must be very, very hard for teachers who are trying to support the kids. Right. I would assume is a real reality for many of our children. You know, when I think about our free and reduced lunch rate is what, 45? 50. And so it goes to say that many of them are parents whose probably are in positions are considered essential and that are working.
So one of the things Groton did that I think we did really well with his Start, Slow, and Grow, we didn't automatically go into a Zoom platform and expect a child to sit on their computer and a teacher to sit on their computer from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock and go from class to class. There were a lot of districts that did it that way from day one. And that was really a challenge, but we always believed in having a balanced approach, so that through Schoology and through Google Classroom and this program called Seesaw in the primary grades, we were able to give out work and videos and ways to do it, but we also gave time for them to have it done. The expectation has never been, you need to have this done the next day, even at the high school. they've been very good about understanding that families are in these situations. We've had parents even at the high school say, I can't help until the weekend. And when I get home, it's too late to help. So we're very cognizant of that. And I think that our plan has been very flexible and very balanced. And I think that we understand that asynchronized learning and synchronized learning can happen, but it doesn't have to be all of one thing or all of the other. And that we really give teachers the options of the way they want to roll it out and the professional development that they need. And I think we're just reaching out. I think that's what a lot of our social workers and school psychs are doing, reaching out to families and just saying, how can we help you? You know, and just asking the question, what can we do to support you?
Right.
And
what's good, I'm just hearing a lot of that, and I've been feeling a lot of that, and so thank you for just putting voice to that.
Yeah, we understand. I mean, our parents are also superheroes for taking on teaching and learning, you know, and all that they're doing as well.
Yeah, if I could just add, I think that the key to all of this for the special ed department, and I think it's the same for the gen ed teachers, has been communication. So every time the teachers communicate to us that they're struggling, we reach out and support the teachers, or we reach out and support the parents. I've had many conversations with parents that leave me feeling really gratified, because parents will say things like, well, at first I thought I could use our home computer, but now I know that I don't have the most updated Chrome and I'm not able to open some of these programs. So we're connecting families with Dennis and his office to get laptops. Other families are saying there's too much work coming home. So we're working with teachers and they're creating calendars so that parents know that their child doesn't have to complete all of the general ed assignments plus all of the modified assignments. You know, it shouldn't be double the work. The modified assignments should take the place of the general ed assignments. You know, again, coordinating with emergency contacts to call, you know, parents or go over to households and connect us with families that we haven't heard from so kids can get their related services. Dr. Grenier and Susan purchased a Google Voice account for all of our social workers, psychologists, and counselors, so that they can not only call parents using a Google number, but they can text. So, you know, we're trying to be as responsive as we can in terms of the teachers contacting us. And then, you know, when they're up against a kind of a brick wall, so to speak, with a family, and then we're reaching out to provide another level of support. And I have to say, it's a lot of listening, but then, you know, there hasn't been a parent I've spoken to, and I've spoken to many, that we haven't been able to solve a problem. So I think that it's a team, and we're working as a team, and both with our paras. Our EL tutors are in almost every single classroom where they have kids. They're working in those classrooms. They're telling us we don't have time for PD, and we're saying that's okay, the kids come first. Right. Deliver services to the kids. That's where we want your energies to be. So it's really truly been a team effort, and I have to say I'm so proud of the teachers, because it hasn't been without its bumps, but I have to say everybody is coming on board, and people who originally were saying, you know, I've got my Google Classroom set, I really don't want to focus on Zoom, are now saying to us, I'm going to try a Zoom lesson this week. So people really are starting to feel confident. They're proud when we meet with them. They want to share what they've learned. They're so proud of the fact that, you know, they have 37, well, my speech people have, you know, 37 out of 37 kids all engaged.
Yeah.
They're very proud to share these accomplishments, and yep. They are accomplishments. Mm-hmm. So, you know,
heroic.
We're continuing to support them in any way we can, and just, you know, work side by side with them. A lot of listening, you know, a lot of teamwork, and just a lot of pride.
And I think too, our teachers and administrators are surveying parents on a regular basis, you know, trying to get their interpretation of how it's going at home as well.
Okay, thank you. Denise, do you want to continue on with the delivery of special? special education services, or do you think you covered that?
I just have one more quick thing that I'll share with the board. We did receive a memo from the Bureau of Special Education late Friday afternoon with guidance involving PPT meetings. So we are developing a guidance document in conjunction with our board attorney for holding virtual PPT meetings. I am very sensitive to not adding one more thing to people's plate. So we will be sharing some options, one of which is that not all of the PPTs need to meet. Some of our timelines have been waived, but some people are saying that they want to get some of these meetings, you know, kind of out of the way, for lack of a better word, for the fall. We can also waive the attendance of a teacher at a PPT, and we will not be conducting any assessments virtually. So we're going to prioritize what PPTs we have enough information to meet on, and then look at schedules and see if we can get started. I had my first virtual PPT with Learn today, and it went very well. So we're going to be rolling this out to the district, but we're going to do it in a very slow way, because we don't want to add one more, you know, component that will stress people out. You know, I've kind of floated the idea, we've known that the guidance was coming, so we've been floating it with people throughout the district. So people are receptive to having meetings. I think there's a little, you know, anxiety in terms of the meetings kind of stacking up between March, April, May. And so we're going to support them, and the supervisors will assist the buildings. If their principals are busy with other meetings, we will support them to chair meetings as best we can.
Jay, do you have a question?
Yes, just a quick question. How are you conducting this? What platform are you using for these PPTs?
Well, that's the other piece. We're giving parents an option to use our district license for Zoom, or they can phone in. If a parent doesn't feel comfortable with either platform, then we won't hold the meeting.
I just have heard there's a lot of security issues with Zoom, and private companies are using much more secure platforms. So I just don't know if there's been any guidance about confidentiality using a system that apparently has a lot of security issues.
So Jay, that's why we purchased Zoom. So with the platform that we have in the purchase form, nobody can get in unless they've been invited in, and they have to go to a waiting room, and everybody's muted until the host unmutes you. So similar to what we were doing with the RTM and the town council, remember how secure that was? So people could, you know, only come in and see if they were invited in. So we'll be using that level of security when we do this.
And Jay, as host forever, you have to upgrade your platform, and the moment you upgrade it, the security risks are much lower, if not at all, because there's a meeting ID and a password, and it's hard for hackers to kind of try to decode both of them. And the waiting room has been the thing. So I feel pretty secure. I mean, I'm using the HIPAA compliant, and I'm sure it's the same FERPA compliant for you guys platform.
Yeah, and as the host, we try to lock the meeting once all the participants are in, and that's an extra layer of security so that hackers cannot get in. But we also have our Frontline IEP program has just rolled out a collaboration portal, which will allow us to use a secure password to email all confidential documents to the parent, and they have an electronic signature. So if we need parents to waive the attendance of a teacher, sign a 5-day waiver for the meeting to meet within 5 days, or sign a consent for re-eval form, we now have a secure electronic signature program in Frontline, our IEP program.
Summer school?
So I was gonna let Ted talk about the grading also, and then I guess you can talk about the summer school as well.
I'm actually going to have Erin talk a little bit about the grading piece.
Okay.
So we've been working on that together, but I think she has some she's ready to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. So just like Denise was mentioning, when it comes to grading and kind of navigating all of this, the communication and the flexibility has been really wonderful from all of our staff. We start with the basics, which is we did have a form that teachers fill out when they have not heard anything from students and they haven't turned in assignments. And at that point, we deploy out the school counselors and the admin to make phone calls home to kind of see, what's going on and making sure that everyone is, ready, able, and willing to participate. And if they need any resources, that we're able to get that out to the family. We ask the teachers to not penalize students on assignments. We've been giving a 1 to 2 week kind of grace period so that given, sort of the getting into the sort of the swing of things, and students are really learning in a whole new way. And there are obviously obstacles going on. So we just ask for flexibility and for things not to be penalized, giving kind of a grace window. We ask that, assignments that students are turning in that they have tried their best on, that no teacher give lower than a 65%. And then, always giving that ability to kind of rework an assignment for a higher grade. So flexibility with that as well. Moving forward, students were given assignments. We asked that for every class period that it be, half an hour to 45 minutes. And in kind of talking to students, talking to staff, moving forward, starting next week, we are going to have our traditional A and B schedule Monday to Thursday. But Friday is going to be a day where no new assignments are given out, but students are given an opportunity to catch up on their work, reach out to their teachers and staff, doing some balance and mental health activities, and just having a chance to kind of reset. We do have a lot of students in upper level classes. They're also getting ready for AP tests. So giving a little bit of flexibility when it comes to their schedule. Our Q3 ended 2 weeks ago, and we do have a grade change form for our students that are maybe submitting in things late, so that nothing is set in stone. Again, once again, sort of flexibility with all that. The teachers and the administration, the counselors, there's just constant meetings to kind of refine what the teachers are doing for lessons with the students. After hearing feedback, there are team meetings happening all over the place to make sure that we are really, kind of dialing back or adjusting given some feedback that we're experiencing. We've been connecting our paras, our tutors, our school counselors to help struggling students. It's really important, although I know very difficult, to be able to know what exactly, is impacting our students, but we've been using them to really connect with students to just figure this all out, to organize, to prioritize, and to get services out to our students and families. And lastly, we have sort of our traditional weights that we use in the teacher grade books when it comes to an assessment versus homework versus classwork. They're all weighted differently. And I think that it was important for our teachers to be able to adjust those weights during distance learning, because some of the things that are happening during a traditional school day are not happening now. And so we really took a close look at how we're weighting what the students are doing during distance learning to make sure that there's much more of an equal weight.
And had you talked about how you were looking at the quarterly weighting of grades? Have you talked about that a little bit too? Like the 3 quarters that were done kind of more face to face versus the last quarter that's done distance wise?
Yeah, so basically, right now we're looking at the quarter weights because, it doesn't appear, we're not going to be doing final exams. So it's, so that's 10% of the student's grade right there that needs to be kind of redistributed. So we're looking at the quarter weights, but the first semester will be 50% of the grade. And then students would be exempt from the exam grades. And then, so the quarters would just be, either 20% or, however we decide to adjust those. But, right now it's something where, most of Q3 at this point, most of the grades that came in at this point are from the distance learning anyway. So we're not really looking at, weighting Q3 more than Q4, just based on the fact that both of them have the distance learning as part of it.
Okay. And then the other question that's, the other bullet that's on here is about summer school and Apex. I don't see Adam has joined us, but would someone from the high school like to speak to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that really has to do with the kind of reentry plan and what we've been talking about there. We're going to have some conversations about, if students were unable to participate with the distance learning or need to get prepared to take the next class going forward, need a little extra time, a little extra work, and that using summer school as a vehicle for that. Also, if summer school is online and if students were struggling to participate online during the school year, it makes sense that they probably wouldn't participate during the summer as well. So if there's something that we can do in order to build in some supports for students when the school year starts, we're going to be looking at that as well. But luckily, we do have the Apex Learning, which I think is going to be a big tool for this. But that's going to be part of that whole reentry plan that we're going to be working with, in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Liz?
Yeah, I just had a question about the finance on part of the summer school. Usually there's a cost. And are we going to be looking to waive the cost for kids who have to use the summer school for to catch up, or to help them get to where they need to be? How are we going to adjust that? What's thoughts on that?
Well, Liz, I think that's definitely going to be part of the discussion, but I don't think I have an answer for you for that yet. Okay. I don't think we've gotten that far yet, but certainly that's definitely going to be part of the discussion as we go forward.
Well, I think that should we get these funds that Mike Grenier was talking about, I think putting them towards reentry and the supports we need, whether it be to waive those fees so that we can get more kids in the middle school and high school involved. That could be the first round of reentry. The screenings that I talked about for our youngest learners that would happen in the late summer, even some of this curriculum compacting work. So those will all go into this reentry plan, and the state is planning on giving us 3/4 of that Title I money on top of Title I, with even extensions to Title I. So I think that funding source will be coming from the state. And so I'll be sharing those ideas with you, and I'll be gathering those ideas from my colleagues, teachers and administrators, and listening to your good thinking too around this. But those are perfect opportunities for this. Yeah.
I just don't want our parents who are struggling financially to have to incur another burden because of a situation that they did not create. And I just want to keep that in mind. So I just needed to say it.
Yep.
I think another, making sure that we have our teachers or tutors available during the summer school, because the Apex program is great, but it's only a program. So having the tutors available with specific office hours to be able to, if we are online, to touch base through Zoom or some other platform to give the tutoring to help the kids proceed through the material, I think is going to be crucial as well.
Great idea. Thank you all.
You guys blow this district blows me out of the water. You guys are
that does me. that completes it
Jim,
for me.
Just one point for me, Liz. The licenses for the Apex, we've already paid for them.
Okay.
So the fee, I think you raise a really terrific point. The only fee that we will have to accrue this summer will be, and we've spoken about this, will be for the staff to support the kids. So based upon however many, I think Ted makes a good point though. If the kids are not hanging in there now with the distance learning, I'm not going to be super confident. But on the other hand, if they could do some Apex work in the summer and complete the course, we want to prepare them for September 1st. I mean, it'd be Jay and I were joking a little bit that the motivation here is do your work now, so you don't have to go to summer school. Well, that's very true. And now that all the hotspots are in, we have a reasonable shot. We've got 5 more weeks of distance learning at a minimum. Perhaps 8 more weeks of distance learning. Which reminds me, Kim, I just got a note from the construction people. They're 9 weeks out from completion.
Whoa.
It turns out there's a middle school going on.
Oh, really?
But Kim, I just want to, just a thought about this summer school. Is there any consideration of possibly having summer school in the traditional way of years ago, where possibly, especially where kids have to be able to go in? I mean, I know I'm just grasping at straws. I'm just trying to think of ways to help our kids get re-engaged. So I'm just thinking trying to think outside the box.
I think that's a health question. Yeah.
That's true.
If we could have kids come in, we would.
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to talk a little later about Treehouse this summer. You know, if we can, we will. The treehouse problem is if the governor says that most people should start to go back to work, and we don't have before school and after school, or in this case with treehouse, summer activities and summer camps, it's going to be really difficult for people to go back to work. So we're going to have to balance those two things.
Even our summer school program for special education, we're talking about doing that remotely as well. And that's what a lot of special ed directors around the state are talking about. So we really have to know that we were safe and secure, especially since our special needs kids are so fragile, many of them medically. So we've got to be really cautious. And I think Mike is absolutely right. We have to listen to the experts, medical experts, before we decide what we can do.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
I have a question to our high school colleagues. And so I was talking to a couple of people who teach in the Boston area, and one of the messages that they are giving out to their freshman, sophomore, and junior kiddos is that if you are thinking about, furthering your education post high school, either through tech or military or college, that a lot of schools are going to be. This is Miss Katie, by the way. She is that you're going to have to. They're going to pay attention to how driven you are during this virtual time. Like, are you making your effort? And I don't know if you guys are speaking to that, or what have you. I'm just kind of intrigued by that.
Good point.
We have not spoken, at least I have not had any conversations with students about that. We've really been trying to put some positive messages out to students as much as we can. And certainly that's the positive message, and I think it might be worth putting out there. But we really just wanted to make sure that we were getting some feedback from students and also from our teachers, so that we could respond to that and adjust as we went along. So it's just been important for us, just to really just ask them how it's going. The first 2 weeks were what it was. The third week for the high school was a Schoology nightmare, and then we kind of moved on from there. But I think it was just important for us to get some data on how we were doing, and then just kind of adjust it. That's kind of where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a quick one. I saw Aaron put a little note out there that about the students who need to graduate, and they always have to have the English 12. How are you supporting those students, and would they be also just taking Apex in the summer? To make sure that not just we're talking about our underclassmen, but the seniors, to make sure that they get that diploma.
This our focus really has been on our senior class, and really taking a close look at our kids that are struggling and being able to kind of get everyone to the finish line. We are going to need summer school because, unfortunately, every year there are a few seniors that don't make it there, and Apex has been able to sort of supplement what they've been doing in the classroom and kind of filling in the gaps. But we definitely will need the summer school for our seniors that don't make it, in June, but hopefully we can get them to the finish line in August and supporting them with tutors, in summer school. But I can promise you that our seniors, we have been connecting with our support staff and just trying to get them a success plan and staying on them with daily check-ins, because it's not easy, and we do have students that feel like they want to give up and not be able to continue with their learning. So our focus right now is really on our senior class. We've been making phone calls home to check in to see what we can do to help. But, you know, we will need that safety net. And to what Kim was asking as well, Jen Allenak, our college and career counselor, she had organized a presentation last Saturday through Citizens Bank. They were doing a webinar about financial aid. We have another one coming up. Jen's got some videos coming out, you know, for our junior class to kind of think ahead and make sure that, you know, we're still staying on track and that there's, you know, there's going to be next year, there's going to be senior year, there's going to be planning, and your grades do matter. And it's important to not lose sight of what you need to do, you know, when it comes to planning for life after high school.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to move us on to our business manager report. Is Ken here?
Hey, Kim. Kim, before you start, Kim, your voice is very, very soft. I don't know if you need to turn up your volume, but it's difficult to hear you. Me? Yeah, before you were louder, and now it's very quiet. I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate Rita, because I've been having this problem all day. This makes me very nervous, because this is, I never knew that I was going to depend so much on a freaking laptop. But Ken, can you hear me now, guys?
Yep.
So Ken, talk.
Yes. Yes. How are you? I am going to share the object code summary with you. All right. Can you all see that?
You got so good.
Can you see the last column? Not really.
It was all sent to us, Ken.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you have a copy of it. So this object code summary, this is a reflection of the approximately $500,000 of cost avoidance that we had initially identified, offset by the $496,000 that we are trying to help FY21. So that's what this reflects. So what you'll notice is that under salaries last year, last time we got together in March, we were anticipating being over budget by around 200,000, and now we're looking at being under budget by 100,000. So that's a reflection of that change, the cost avoidance, and then additional costs for FY21. Under benefits, you'll notice other benefits, line 12, is over budget by 106. And that's a reflection of accelerating the severance payments, where we would typically have paid them out in July. We are going to pay them out in June to try and help FY21. And similarly throughout this object code summary, that's what we have done. You notice supplies. There's a lot going on in supplies. We were anticipating some additional savings on electricity, as well as natural gas. But we are also anticipating picking up an additional 50,000 of custodial supplies that'll help out next year. Equipment, this was below budget previously, and now we're looking to be over budget because we're going to accelerate the purchase of some maintenance equipment and some IT equipment. So bottom line, we're anticipating, based upon just this set of assumptions, being pretty much on budget. This says we're actually over budget by 7,000. Now, what this doesn't contemplate is any of the cost avoidance from the transportation contracts, or any of the additional costs that we identified in the COW last week. We were talking about the food service. We're talking about treehouse admin. We were talking about additional IT equipment. And so that, for Chromebooks, that's reflected in this as of this point.
Any questions, guys? All right, thank you. Ken, do you want to go on to the next?
Yes. So next, the healthcare report. Let's see. I want to try and share this one. So they just sent the healthcare report this morning. That's why we didn't send it to you ahead. They're working with a reduced staff as well. It's too small. So I don't know if you can see it, but this is through March of 2020. And so for the month of March, it looks like we are over budget. Oh, not over budget, but we spent 123.7% of budget. Now this is comparable to last year. Last year we were at 112% of budget. So it looks like March is typically a heavy month for medical claims. This month, 123% of budget. That's quite a bit. But on a year-to-date basis, we're 88.9% in comparison to 90% through March of last year. So we're comparable. We're actually trending a little bit behind last year, or a little bit better, I should say, than last year.
I think the bar graph is also helpful if you move that up, because you want to see the actual cost versus the budgeted cost.
Yep.
So the actual has really been below the blue bar, which is the budgeted cost throughout the whole year. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
March.
And it looks like, so when we budget this, we just budget the same amount monthly, but it comes in. It doesn't work that way. It tends to go in a cycle, very similar year over year. Where the beginning of the year it's kind of heavy as a lull, and then towards the end of the year it starts to ramp up. The reason for that is as folks get closer to June 30 and their HSAs are going to roll over on July 1, they'll tend to try to use it up as we get towards the end of the year. So I think this trend is comparable to last year.
Okay.
Yes, Ken, I know at the end of last year, there were some issues with this report.
Right.
Can we be confident that this accurately now reflects our employees?
Yeah, all of those issues have been identified and corrected, and this we now compare this against the total to make sure that everything's tied up, and I think we can have complete confidence in this report at this point.
Any other questions? All right, Ken, you can move on.
All right. Did you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, let me talk about it. The only reason I put this on the agenda, it reflected a conversation that Kim and I had about our reentry plan, and I knew we had to do a number of things to support the children regarding the learning gaps and so forth. But what I did not know originally was about the CARES Act. I had no idea we were going to get this $850,000. So. What we're doing right now, actually at the end of this week, the principals are going to give us a pretty good idea of where they see their budget, and Denise is going to do the same, and projected towards the end of the year. And we're going to try to use as much of that money as we possibly can to replace, like I was talking to a couple of elementary principals today, and they would really like to see us, for the young children, not so much use Chromebooks, but to get iPads for the kindergarten children and the first graders. And so we want to take care of that. we want to project as much alliance money as we can into that. So we're, I just wanted everyone to know that we're cognizant of, we're trying to do the best, as Ken has already said, we've already taken care of the 496,000. So we're already good at zero. And now we're going to use some of this money for our unanticipated, like the food service employees and so forth. So we want to be sure we're doing all that in a conscientious way. And then in the fall, now we've got some money that we can start planning. So I think that's an issue that I think we need to talk about, Jay, with the finance committee, because by Monday night, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But by Monday night, we should be in pretty good shape to start laying this out to the committee fairly well.
Cool, thank you. And then update on the SDA?
Why don't you explain it, Ken?
Sure. So we had a conversation with STA, and we went through. They provided us a listing of all their expenses. We went through it and basically tried to understand how those expenses needed to get paid and what our responsibility was towards those. And so we came up with a number that I think is a good reflection of what other districts have done with their bus companies. As of last Monday, the 20th, they were supposed to be paying their bus drivers. We have asked for documentation of that to understand exactly what they're paying, as far as whether they're paying for the overtime hours and at what rates. So they have committed to getting us that information. I have not yet gotten that. That presumably would have been for their payroll of Friday. So we're waiting for that, and we'll wait for that before we make any payments to them. But at this point, I think we're in pretty good shape with the SDA contract and the anticipated cost avoidance related to that.
Any questions about that? Jay?
I'd just like to make a quick comment that I, for one, really appreciate what Dr. Grenier, Sam, and Ken have done. They spent an inordinate amount of time last week ensuring that the governor's order was abided by, along with the tie-in with the CARES Act, to ensure that the drivers are taken care of in the best possible way that we could, under all that legislation.
Thanks. Yeah, we appreciated your input. We wanted to be sure we had it right, and we at least have an agreement which we are going to monitor to be sure the drivers are treated fairly.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to move us on to Mr. Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick. Director of Buildings and Grounds. Man, I am tired of Zoom.
Good evening. So I guess the first thing I'll report on is the Groton 2020. And as you probably know, the Groton Middle School project is continuing to progress. I think Dr. Grenier made a comment about that a little bit earlier. The middle school packing and moving is going on as well. And so teachers are coming into the two middle schools, 5 or 6 per day, to pack up their rooms of personal items first, and then the items that are going to be moving on to the new middle school. So custodians are assisting with that. And assisting with tossing the things that they are culling from their rooms as well. The second item is the food service department, the meals program. Again, the meal totals are remain steady. In the meantime, Ernie has added 2 hot meals during the week to the kids' meals. they're microwavable meals that they'll be able to heat up, and so they can get hot meals as well as their cold cereals, etc. The third item is the tennis court project at Fitch High School. The bid packet is out. We advertised that over a week ago. The bids are due on May 11th, and we'll see how that goes. There was one other item. Oh, the projects that are going on right now that we're working on right now. Maintenance department, custodial department. One of the big things, of course, had a little bit of a technical problem here today. I took a couple of photographs of a couple of projects that are going on, and we weren't able to upload them here. But
Sam, do you see them?
Well, so much for that. Yeah. So, can you go back to the first one there, Mark? Is the first one there? No. Maybe.
Maybe. Hold on. I don't know why it's not advancing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not totally critical. One of the other photographs actually showed the. This is Charles Barnum School, and because that school is one of the elementary schools that we're going to keep, and is in need of some upgrades, we've been able to. Yeah, that one doesn't really show it, but that's actually the first photograph of the hallways that are painted an dark aqua color presently, and it really doesn't look that bad in the photograph, but in the building it's kind of dark and dingy. So we moved on to a lighter color, and so the guys are painting the inside of the Charles Barnum School. That's not Charles Barnum School now on your screen, obviously, but
that's the library.
Yeah. So this is really, I think everybody will be very pleased when they get back to Charles Barnum School. It feels like a new school, larger school, brighter school, much happier school. I think it will be.
Yay.
The second project that I took a photograph was of the greenhouse, which Mark put up now, and off to the right you can see the skid steer, which is digging the trenches for the drainage. We had also dug the trenches for the electrical and plumbing previously, so that's all set. And off to the left, it's barely noticeable on here, but there'll be a sidewalk that we'll be constructing from the greenhouse. We had to put a second door in a greenhouse. Didn't come with a packet, so we were able to purchase one and get it in. And so there will be a door coming out of the end of the 2800s wing and over to that side door of the greenhouse.
Cool. Wow.
So
very cool.
It's a pretty impressive little building. Guys are pretty much wrapping up this week with the electrical and the plumbing on the inside too. So there's lots of the other projects that are going on. We're doing lots of roof repairs, machine repairs. There've been a lot of the machinery that the custodians use, walk behinds and ride-ons that fell in disrepair over the years, and we're spending a lot of time getting those going. And needless to say, with the middle school coming online, we are spending a lot of time taking a look at the items that are in the two existing middle schools that are going to get torn down shortly to determine what things we might be able to take out of those buildings to use in some of our older buildings as we move forward. So that's what I have for tonight.
So Liz?
Yeah, Sam, I got a request or a question from one of the people around, and they were concerned about that around our current fields, there seems to be a lot of trash, broken equipment, things that had been left around. Now, I haven't seen this personally. I'm just telling you that I received an email from somebody, and they were especially like down by the field house at Fitch, and and especially around Fitch. And so I was just wondering, is this something that is still going on? Has there been a cleanup behind the fields or and around those areas, especially like I think it was around our baseball field and around our field house?
Well, the baseball field does have a broken piece of equipment there. We haven't been able to haul that back to the shop to work on it yet, but we're aware of that piece of equipment. There are some older pieces of equipment that are stored behind the existing, the newer field house. But I wouldn't call it necessarily broken equipment. It's probably not used anymore for the most part. So some of that stuff will get cleaned up too as we move forward.
Thanks.
So one of the reasons why I wanted Sam to just kind of present all the things, I mean, now that the buildings are vacant, it does give his crew time to kind of get into the buildings and do kind of what they wanted to do. So I just wanted to make sure that we had a snapshot of all the hard work that the maintenance and custodian and Sam's crew has been doing. So thank you very much for willing to share all that. And the food service thing, it just continues to blow me out of the water in terms of what Ernie is doing.
It's very impressive.
I'm going to be moving down to the committee reports. Has policy, curriculum, or finance and facility, have you guys met? Lee,
I'm sorry.
Lee, you just need to put yourself on mute. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. We did not meet in April, but I would like to meet. It would be next Monday, if that's okay with Susan and Jane.
Okay, great. So then we'll hear a report on that in the end of May.
So we've
got
that at 5 o'clock, and Erica is getting different policies that need to come. So we'll get the word out to you and set the agenda.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susan.
And Dr. Ackerman and I spoke about curriculum meeting at 4, and Carmita Hodge can come at 4. So did you want to speak to that, Andrea?
No, I just wanted to say that we were going to meet on Monday at 4, and we set our agenda today, and we're going to be talking about the distance learning and the curriculum coordinator's position and the state mandated courses. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Jay?
We don't currently have meeting date set.
Okay. I just didn't want to make sure. I just want to.
We have not met since the last our last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Negotiations. I think I think it's safe to say it's put on pause because of the negotiating the contract that we're negotiating. They requested to meet in person versus on Zoom. At least that is my current understanding of that. Learn, Rita?
Oh yes, we continue to meet on Zoom, and I think they talked a lot about what they're doing for COVID-19. And one of the things I thought was good, which I know probably our teachers are doing, but they're working on lesson plans in a collaborative method by grade level. And I'm sure we're probably doing that also, but I was happy to see that. They also, Dr. Grenier, this is something I'd like you to eventually report on to us. There's been a subcommittee working on the new formula with the state for all education funding, and with the Connecticut Association of School Superintendents, and Fran Rabenovitz and the retired Commissioner of Education, Ted Sergey, are the lead on that. And Fran Rabenovitz was supposed to come to our board meeting, but was not able to. So maybe Dr. Grenier could give us an update on that. And as of June, Learn will no longer be doing the birth to 3 services because it wasn't funded. The dual language, they're hoping to have some type of graduation and a get together for those students since the school no longer exists, at least at its present site. And I think that's about it. They have a new principal at the Marine Science High School that I'll report on in May. I've gone through the interviews on that, and we'll talk about that in May.
Oh, thank you. And there really has not been for the Board of Ed the 2 liaison meetings. I do believe that there's one in May.
Yeah, it would be this coming Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, I am, Lee, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that, because I do know that the town council and the RTM have canceled many of their meetings. Like this coming Tuesdays have been canceled, so I don't know if they are what they're doing or not.
Fine. You know, we're all keeping, I think everybody's keeping themselves apprised of what's going on, so I think that's fine.
Yeah, maybe you and I can have an offline conversation about
that would be exciting.
And could we have one, are we still going to meet with the AJSA and GEA in May? Maybe Beth could let us know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that feels like that would be,
that would be intent. We do intend to meet, it's just, we don't know where.
Well, I mean, even on Zoom, but I was just wondering, what was the date? That's what I couldn't remember. It was sometime in May.
Yeah, let's have Joan look for that, and she can put in the board notes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. And then trail liaison and the Groton scholarships.
I am behind, besides myself, with scholarship. I went on to grotonschools.org. I sent a note to whoever is head of scholarships. I don't even know who is on it. I'm beside myself.
So, okay. So maybe I'll have that as an offline conversation with you as to what to.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. And Gretchen, you have trails?
Haven't been able to find them. I've talked to a couple other people who are on the trails committee. They haven't had any meetings that I know of.
Okay, so trails are usually in the woods, but that's just saying if you haven't been able.
Well, I was hoping when we were in the woods, 6 feet apart, we could measure it, but we haven't had a meeting. So
I'm really sorry. This is my 10th hour.
To chase down.
Is it in the weeds?
No, we're not in the weeds.
Right. I am moving on to the action items, which is the consent agenda, and I will take a motion for the approval of the first 3 things, which is the regular meeting minutes of February 24th, March 26th, and April 6th. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Lee, can I have a second? I have Liz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent, approving of the consent agenda, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those oppose, abstain, the motion has carried. We're now on to new business. And Rita, would you be willing to read number 1, please, of the motion?
Sure. To approve the extension of the Transition K pilot program through the 2020 to 2021 school year.
And can you read the motion, please?
I did.
Oh my gosh, you did. You did. You did. I am so sorry. Can I have a second?
It's okay.
Second.
Who did that? Oh, Andrea.
I did, Andrea.
Okay. Do we have any more conversation about that?
No.
Just for whoever is going to watch this or watching this or hearing us, just to know that we had a huge conversation about this in the committee of the whole, where we had people who were participating currently in the transition program, and that the board has really felt like it needs to go through another year pilot, specifically with the COVID experience, has kind of hindered some of that stuff. So any other discussion? Hearing none, and I can see all my board members, so I'll just do it by hand. All those in favor to approve the motion the extension of the Transition K pilot program through the 20 and 21 school year, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. Liz, would you be willing to read the motion for number 2, please? But Liz, could you please unmute yourself? Still need to. You're not unmuted.
Yes, I am.
Now you are.
There you are.
Okay. To approve the inclusion of the funding of the cafeteria staff wages from the FY20 Board of Education budget.
Can I have a second to that?
Second.
I have Lee as a second. Discussion? Mike.
We are going to put in for this on our FEMA. We have to turn in. Ken is going to turn in a report by Friday, but we're going to include this amount. So this may come back to the board, hopefully as a good bit of it as a reimbursement, but this would allow the enterprise fund not to go into deficit.
Okay.
And
Rita?
Mike, that's why I mentioned to you about the SNAP program, that the funding for that could possibly,
Okay.
some of that could go towards this also.
Yeah, perfect. We'll pursue that tomorrow.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve the inclusion of the funding of the cafeteria staff wages from the fiscal year 20 Board of Education budget, please say aye, raising your hands.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. The third one, the third motion, Jay, would you be willing to read that, please?
Just a point of clarification. Am I reading these names into the record?
I believe the names.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear him.
I believe the names have to be read. Yes.
Yes.
But if I could make a statement, these are not for performance. These are purely budgetary matters. The individuals know is not reflection, is absolutely no reflection on their teacher ability. It is just a part of, some of them were one-year contracts and others, a couple of them, one is a part-time person, but in no stretch the imagination is this performance related.
And this is state law, is this correct?
Yes. Otherwise, they would have the right to come back in the fall.
Okay.
All right. Having understood that, I will reluctantly move to approve the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that in accordance with the provisions of Connecticut General Statute Section 10-151, the contracts of employment of the teachers listed below shall not be renewed upon conclusion of the 2019-2020 school year. Kevin Croson, David Hall, Zachary Jacobson, Raymond Long.
Can I have a second to that?
Okay.
Jane has seconded that. Any further discussion than what the statement that Dr. Grenier has given? Okay, all those in favor of the motion that was read by Jay to approve the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that in accordance with the provision of Connecticut general statutes, the contracts of employees of the teachers listed below shall not be renewed upon the conclusion of the 2019-2020 school year. That would include Kevin Croson, David Hall, Zachary Jacobson, and Raymond Luong. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? The motion has carried.
Kim, I must have been muted when I said I wanted to say something. And all I wanted to say is that this was de rigueur when I was coming up in the system. This happened every year until maybe 20 or so years ago when it became not the practice. So it's nothing new.
Thank you, Andrea. And I'm sorry I did not catch you. Jane, would you be willing to read the motion for number 4?
To recognize May 5th through 2020 as National Teacher Day and May 3rd through 9th, 2020 as National Teacher Appreciation Week, and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the teachers.
Can I have a second on that?
Second?
Sorry, Gretchen, you can fight it out between the two of you.
Okay.
Discussion on that? All right, so all those in favor of the motion that's on the floor to recognize May 5th, 2020 as National Teachers Day and May 3 through 9, 2020 as National Teachers Appreciation Week, and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation.
I think Liz is trying to get hold of you. She's not? Okay.
So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. Sorry.
Thanks, Lee.
It's okay.
Lee?
Yes.
Would you be willing to read the motion for number 5, please?
I would if I could, but I cannot because they're on my iPad and my iPad doesn't talk to my printer. So no, I cannot, but I wish I could.
Gretchen, would you do the honors of reading the motion for number 5?
I'm sort of in the same situation as Lee. I'm
okay. So you know what? That's great. I'll just do it.
Sorry.
That's not a problem. I just want to make sure that people got their voice. To recognize May 6, 2020 as the National School Nurse Day and May 6 through 12, 2020 as National School Nurse Week, and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the nurses. Can I have a second to the motion? I got a question. Do we have any discussion about that? All right, so all those in favor for the motion to recognize May 6, 2020 as National School Nurse Day and May 6 through 12, 2020 as National School Nurse Week, and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the nurses. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. We're now down to the information, proposals, non-actions, letters, communication. Rita, did you have anything? Rita, you're not unmuted.
I had questions about what was going on at Westside and Cutler, about all the trees that were going to come down. Some are marked, some are not. So I just explained that they were just starting, to convert those to our elementary schools, and the building was starting to take place. I enjoyed all the school videos. I think they're wonderful. North seats, looking at the students, it just really moves you. So they're all really lovely to see. I had something that I'd like to maybe to go to the committee of the whole. I noticed when we talk at Learn about services for special education, it's called student support services, and they don't use special education services. And I was wondering if we could have that, maybe have a name change, because I really like student support services as opposed to special education. So it's just something to think about. I know we'd have to change a few other documents and so forth, but it was just, I was hoping we'd have a discussion about that. And I wanted to also thank Dr. Grenier for sending out the teacher assignments, that they've gotten that done, and the teachers know, which team they're on and everything. I think that's great. And Susan, you too.
The kudos really go to Susan and the team. That was a huge relief for the teachers.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah.
Liz, Liz, any communications?
Yes, I did. I had a question came to me about the lighting for the possible lighting for the new turf fields behind the middle school, and thanks to Dr. Grenier and Rick Norris, I was able to get that information to the person who sent it out to me, that this was the lighting is on our wish list, but it is not something that is part of the plan at this time, and that we'll have to take a look at it. I just want to say thank you very much. This also came with that was also part of the communication about the things that were behind the field house. So I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Liz. Lee, do you have any?
No, I don't, but I'd like to say thank you to Mark. You, as always, he is with us all the time. Thank you.
But he needs to not put a mountain snow scene because I'm freezing. I want to have tropical. That's my only comment, Mark. But Lee, that you're very correct on that. Andrea, do you have any?
Yes, I have something that happened at the very beginning of our hiatus from school, and that was a telephone call from Sharon and Joey Schick, and they just wanted to express their thanks to the district and the board for all the support that children are getting in terms of learning, distance learning, and especially the meals that are being provided. They just thought that was a wonderful thing for the district.
Jay?
Of course, I've already mentioned I've received a lot of communication about the school bus drivers, but I also, unless I overlooked it, I just wanted to recognize the administrative professionals of the district. Their day was April 22nd, obviously in the chaos. We were not able to be with them physically, but I don't know if we can make a motion or have Dr. Grenier send a similar letter just recognizing all the work that they're doing. I know some of them are in schools, in home, back and forth, and I know they're doing a lot behind the scenes to support the district.
Andrea?
I thank you, Jay, for reminding me that if you remember when I had such a problem with graphic novel, and then I met the man and I read the novel carefully, and I asked at that time that the cooks be recognized. So I'm hoping that Dr. Grenier would be able to do the same kind of recognition for the cooks in the district.
Thank you. Jane?
It's just absolutely amazing to watch the increase in camaraderie throughout the district under these conditions. I had to laugh this week when someone jokingly said to me, you know what it is with a remote meeting that provides socialization for hermits. Other than that, it can be very frustrating. So people are joking about all of this and working very hard. Kudos once again to everyone in Groton.
Thank you, Jane. Gretchen? Gretchen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you have any communications?
I do. I have a shocking number of communications. The bus drivers, I've had lots and lots of calls from bus drivers, and Dr. Grenier has been so helpful, and I've been getting right back to them with what he said. I've had a couple of chats with neighborhood kids, and one very well-spoken 10-year-old said, Mrs. Newsom, I love it. It's 3 hours of school. That one let me laugh. I've had a couple of parents who've gone down to Cutler for their kids to play, and they've tried to play tennis, and they want to know if we're leaving the tennis courts, and I said I don't think so. So, yeah, the tennis courts at Cutler
are gone.
Are gone. There was one other thing. Oh, it's a me question, actually, and it's more towards Sam's direction. The submarines have incredibly good scrubbers on their air filters, and I'm not sure with this current conditions. I think it's a good time to ask. When we filter the air, we're just sort of pushing the germs around the school and around the school and around the school because we can't open the windows and send them out. Will we be looking into improving our air scrubbers? Maybe in the future, possibly in the new schools going up, at least. No, dead silence.
No, well, I think no, and Gretchen, I appreciate that you brought that up because I know that you, I got a voicemail from you last night, so I appreciate you doing that. And Sam, I think that the question, it's not on our agenda, so I don't think that we can have a conversation about this today.
But we could bring it up, put it on an agenda?
Absolutely, or through a board note, maybe, if it's a simple answer, we could get that answer. But that's actually a relatively important question for us to know.
Super important for the health of the kids.
Yep.
And the teachers.
Yep, no, for everyone.
Down in my left corner.
All right. No one wants to talk to me.
I do.
So I don't have any letters for communications on that. Rita, I have that down for your support services. That's an interesting concept, and I don't know what that means in order to change, but that is good. Do we have other agenda items that we want to add? Okay, hearing none.
Is it time? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Or leave.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion has carried.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Jim, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, 7:30.
Night, Mary Ellen.
Good night, Deb. Hi, Susan.
Nice to
Good
meet you all.
night. Good night, Jane.
Good night, all.
Good night.